What is up, guys? So today we're going to be talking about living that junkie life, living la vida junkie. What it feels like every morning when you have to wake up and you're in instant withdrawal. What it feels like living in the crack dens, being homeless, stuck in that cycle of stealing, police cells, prison, get released, relapse, stealing, police cells, prison, just going round and round. It is insanity, because they say that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And I was just doing the same thing over and over, so an insane lifestyle really. And it's all based on my own personal experience. Long-term heroin addict, crackhead, alcoholic, whatever you want to call it, smackhead. That is one word. What it cuts deep, whenever I hear it. And not so much on the dark side, I expect it on there, because if you're making fun of people online, then people making fun of me, the obvious choice is to attack, oh, he's a heroin addict, he's an ex-junkie, whatever. So I don't mind getting called a smackhead on the dark side, but when you're out in the streets, I remember when I was deep into my addiction and I was waiting to score, and it's obvious, a skinny, scruffy dude stood around waiting. It's obvious what he's doing. And I'd see all the school kids going to school or on the dinner break or whatever, and they go past and shout, smackhead. Oh, fuck's sake, man. It's an awful feeling. And even now, I was walking the other day and there was a couple of the local, balaclava youths. I don't know what you call them these days. You used to call them chavs. And they was talking about someone saying, oh, he's a fucking little smackhead. They weren't talking about me, but still, it's just that word. It's just a horrible, horrible word. And I just feel like if you knew what a smackhead has to go through, you might change your tune. But it's easy to talk like that because of the way smackheads act. There's people out there that do rob old women in the street. I've never done it like that. I was a shoplifter and I stole from office blocks. There's no denying that. But I didn't burgle houses. I tried not to anyway. I think I might have done once, maybe twice. But it's just easy money, quickest way with the least amount of damage. That's the way I used to do it. So yeah, they get a bad rap because they get blamed if anything goes missing. Oh, it's him, he's a smackhead, he must have done it. And it's a heavy burden to bear over the years, knowing that I was that guy. But there's nothing I can do about it, other than talk about it and try and educate people and show people that behind the smackhead there's an actual person who just made a few bad decisions in life. But anyway, as soon as you wake up in the morning, you're in withdrawal. The first thing you're thinking of is drugs, because you've got, your eyes start watering, then you start rapid fire sneezing. That's the first signs of withdrawals. There's a great line from Train Spotting where he says, I'm not detoxing yet, but it's in the post. And it's true, you've got to keep that at bay because it's in the post. It's always coming. It's like that movie It Follows, where you're being chased by a force and it just keeps coming and coming. No matter where you go, no matter what you do, it's always there coming after you. It's like being chased by the T-1000. You can't reason with it. It'll just keep coming. It'll never stop. It doesn't care about love, or it doesn't care about colour. It doesn't care about anything. It's just going to keep coming until it's took everything and got what it wants, which is you. So yeah, as soon as you wake up, you're in withdrawal, and you get your mild withdrawal symptoms. Then you start feeling sick. Then you start puking. You can't eat properly. You've got a real bad unwell feeling, and you can't sleep. You just can't function. And then as soon as you have your little bit of heroin, your magic potion, because I always compare it to being like a magic potion. You could be like in those games, those old horror games, survival games where you've took damage and you can barely walk, and then as soon as you find a potion, you drink it and you're back to normal. And that's what it feels like. So you wake up in the morning and the best thing to do is save some heroin from the night before. Then as soon as you get up, what I used to do is save my tube, because I've never injected. I used to smoke it, and you suck it through a tube and it gathers on the tube. So if you smoke your heroin all day through that tube, there'll be quite a little bit gathered on it, and then the next morning I'll wake up and smoke that tube, and that'd like get me out of bed. And then it would be, got to go out grafting. It's just non-stop, 24 hours a week, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Grafting. As soon as you get your money, shoplifting, you buy your drugs, do your drugs, and then it's back out again. Get some more money, get some more drugs, do your drugs, and then it's back out again, and then the day's over, and that's it. That's the junkie life. And because you don't really all you care about is heroin. So if you've got somewhere to live, you don't pay bills, you don't get food, you don't buy clothes, you don't get your hair cut, you don't care about none of that. That's what heroin does. It takes away all your problems and replaces it with one, which is getting money for the heroin. And I suppose it's like being like a vampire. You need blood to survive and keep away those horrible feelings of the bloodlust. So yeah, you end up homeless on the streets because you're not paying your bills. If you've got something medical wrong with you, you just brush it off, like, I'll deal with it later. So then it gets worse and worse and worse, and that's why some of these drug addicts that use needles, I've never used needles, they'll miss a vein, it'll all get infected, they need antibiotics, but you keep putting it off. You know, they don't clean the wound, so it gets all infected, it eats away at the skin and the bone, and then you end up having to have it amputated, and then you end up with septicemia, blood poisoning, and you know, it's dangerous, very dangerous. And that's why a lot of people, like fucking 90% of the people I used to do drugs with, they're all dead now. I think my saving grace was that I smoke it, and I've never used needles. I did come close a couple of times, but I never did. And yeah, so you get up, you have your little, what I used to do is have my little tutor, and then I'd be out grafting for the day. I was always shoplifting, just any money as quick as possible, as easy as possible. And for me, it was shoplifting to start with. But it's obvious, isn't it, when somebody comes in. I mean, I even get followed now because I've got an ashen look. I suppose I've got that junkie swagger. It fucking does my head in. But there's nothing I can do about it. And I go out grafting. As soon as you walk in the shop, everybody's looking at you. They know what you're doing. So you just look for places that have got nobody in there, so you can just race in, grab a load of shit and get off, and just to get your drugs. You don't even care about consequences. You know you're on camera. You know that the cameras are fucking following you around the streets. You know that you're being watched, but you don't care. And there's so many times when I've been chased through town and had the helicopter out after me, and you know, run down an alleyway, and then I always used to carry a couple of extra tops in my bag so I could change my top. And you know, everybody knew who I was. All the police knew who I was. All the security guards knew who I was. I was on top to death. It got to the point where I would go to the police cells and they all like, oh, back again, are you? So you want coffee, free sugars, you know, all day breakfast. They knew what I wanted. They knew everything. And they all knew who I was. They all knew my name. And I remember once, they knew me that well, that I once got a Christmas card through the post from the South Yorkshire police with a guy stood in front of the card, stood in prison with the bars going down, saying, stay at home this Christmas. In other words, don't go out robbing. I wish I'd have saved that, to be honest. So that'd be a funny little prop I could show you. But yeah, you go out grafting and then you get your money. And I was getting caught so often. It was so frustrating, man. It's horrible in themselves. It's the one place on earth that strikes fear in any junkie is a police cell, because there's nothing you can do. You're just stuck in a cold, miserable room for like 2 days. You can't eat, you can't sleep, so it feels like you're in there twice as long. There's a horrible rattling smell while you're in there, and the police officers like checking you every 10 minutes or something. And it's just a real nasty, horrible place to be, and it feels like you're in there for fucking weeks. Each hour feels like a day. So you try and avoid it at all costs. But you know, when you're shoplifting, I was getting caught like 2 or 3 times a week because I was that well known, and I just couldn't get out of it. And it pushed me to a point eventually where I just broke down. I couldn't take it anymore. Like waking up in a cell every fucking morning, you're like, oh, am I here again? You know, and I just couldn't seem to break out of it. And I remember I got caught. I'd only just got out from like a 3-day local, which is when they catch you on a Friday. You miss the Saturday morning court, so then they keep you Sunday because the courts are short, and then they put you up Monday. So you're in there for like 3 days, but you're suffering all day and you're suffering all night because you can't sleep. So it feels like a week in the cells. And I just got out, and I was like, where was I now? I was in Tick Hill, and I went into a petrol station. I was robbing tins of Shaw because I used to get £1 each for them, and they saw me doing it. I ran out of the shop, and it was like people just appeared from nowhere, and I was fucking running through, and they all like rugby tackled me, took me back to the shop. They even zip tied me on the floor. Imagine that. I was just laid on the floor, people coming in buying petrol and looking down at me, and I'm just fucking on the man, it was so embarrassing. And then that just broke me, and I remember like so ashamed. I got to the cells, and as soon as the police officer clocked the door and went away, I heard his keys jingling, so he was gone, and I just fucking broke down, and I just fell to my knees, and I was crying, and I was praying. I don't even believe in God, I never have. But I was just asking, and I remember I was asking the devil, saying, please, just fucking take my soul, get me out of this, I'll do anything you want. And I was just crying until my chest there, and then I heard keys jingling again, so I just jumped up, you know, dusted myself off, and like, right, you know the dance, going to prison, let's get on with it. And I know I was alright after that. But it's so frustrating, you know, when you're stuck in that life, and I think to myself, why don't you just go away from it? Why don't you just do your detox and come away from it? But I couldn't, you know, that's addiction. I was lost. I was a lost soul for the longest time. And yeah, you would end up in crack dens. Typical crack den would have nothing in it. Probably no electricity, you know, it'd stink of piss, and there'd be people shitting in the corner because there's toilet, because there's no water, no electricity. The toilet would be full of crap, and the bath would have all shit in it, and so you couldn't flush it because there was no water, because it had all been cut off. There'd be like a scruffy little bed in the corner, there'd be needles and blood and piss up the walls, and foil all over, and rubbish and empty cans and food, and just disgusting. And then there'd be like one old big back black and white telly, what it's not worth nothing, otherwise someone would have took that and sold it. And you've got candles going because there's no electricity, and that's where you have to live. You know, imagine living there, and the door's been kicked open, anyone could just walk in anytime. You've got to thinking, what if the taxmen come, because they know that there's going to be junkies in there, so they'll just come in just to beat people up. And you get the taxmen that rob other junkies because they know that people's going to be in there with drugs. So like, well, we'll just go and tax them. And you end up getting battered and robbed. And then you've got the police come in because they know it's a crack den. There's going to be people with drugs in there, so it's an easy touch, isn't it? We'll just go in and run a few names. They're bound to have warrants out for arrest. And so you can't really relax. It's just somewhere out of the wind and the rain, because for me, like smoking it's hard. You can't really do it, even if there's no wind. If you're out in the open, you try and run in gear, you can't do it because the flame just blows out. So you need somewhere out of the elements, and you know, a crack den is preferable to sleeping on the streets, even though it's like mega dangerous. It's better than just trudging the streets, isn't it? So yeah, that's what it's like living in a crack den, and it's always the same old people. I do kind of miss the banter. I'll tell you what I miss about addiction. I miss the banter, and I guess I miss the mayhem and the stealing. As much as I regret it and hate that I was that guy, I do miss going out on like little adventures. You know, you'll have a little boot, you know, you've had your gear, and you go off and you think, right, today I'm going to rob that place, I'm going to infiltrate it, and this is my way out. And I would make plans and come up with a plan of how I'm going to rob the place. And I do kind of miss that, but I don't, if you know what I mean. I miss the banter, the people that you meet. It's always the same people. There's that one guy who is just always there. He doesn't go out grafting. He never makes no money. He's never got no gear. He's never got no smokes. He's never got anything. And he's always begging for like filters. And if you don't know what a filter is, you put your people that inject it, they'll put it in a spoon, some heroin, some water, they'll cook it all up, throw a filter in, put some citric acid in, and then suck it up through a filter to a cigarette filter to grab all the little shits, you know, the little bits out of it. And it gathers heroin. So, you know, there'll be one guy in the corner who's been begging for those filters so he can recook them up and just get a little bit of heroin off it. And then somebody will give him it, and then he'll whack it up and he'll be fucking like slavering and gouching. It's like, mate, you haven't fucking had no. You've hardly had any. You know, I've just had like 9 bags and I can't get like that. But I don't know why they do it. It's like, it must be like a mental thing. And people do get fixed on having needles, you know, sticking needles in the arm. They get addicted to that. It's like fucking mental. And you see people digging up little bits of filter with nothing hardly in it, but they need that fixation for the needle. Yeah, and there's always that one guy who's always robbing everybody, carries a couple knives and a hammer with him, and there's a few what I could name, I'm not gonna, but a lot of them are dead now. And then you get the prostitutes. Most of them are just really nice lasses, you know, that are generous, kind, and they've just been thrust into this horrible world of addiction, and the only way they can make money is to sell their own body. You know, they're not trying to hurt anyone other than themselves, and they do make good money, but there are some that are just horrible little cunts, you know, little rats, and they'll just start trouble, and they'll try and rob off everyone, and they'll try and like they'll go, like if a prostitute goes out, meets some dude, takes him down an alleyway, does business with him, gets the money. You know, so they're just providing a service for lonely old men, or you'd be surprised the types of people that use prostitutes. And they're just providing a service. And if they all did it like that, the correct way, then everybody's happy. But then you get these little rats that go down there and they'll try and nick the wallets, and you know, they'll say, oh yeah, meet me down there, and then they'll run off with the money. I remember just the other week, I was coming through Donny, and there was this prostitute who I knew from back in the day. She was really fit as well. She's not anymore. She looks haggard, but back in the day I kind of used to fancy her. She had a right nice arm. And she was running towards me, and she recognised me. She said, oh, you're right, Paddy. I said, oh, you're right. And she was fucking legging it. She said, I can't stop. I've just nicked this guy's wallet. And I was like, all right. And then a couple steps further, and this fat old bloke's fucking blowing out his arse, like chasing after. Some things never change, do they? But you know what I mean? You get people like that, and I suppose it's the same in any walk of life. You get knobheads, you get people who are all right, and I remember one last prostitute, I really didn't like her, and when I was selling gear, she was always coming short. She was always. And she kind of, like she was privileged, you know. She'd come like a fiver short and say, just throw all money in my hand, knowing that I didn't have time to count it, and then they'd fuck off real quick. And then they'd come back, and I'd say, you were a fucking fiver down last time. What would you expect? I were in taxi. I was like, well, that's not my fucking problem, is it? You know, and then I have to cover the debt. And she was always coming short and fucking mouthing, and it's like, oh, you horrible cunt. I did actually have a go at her. Last time I saw her, and I've not heard from her since, so she's probably dead like everybody else. But yeah, you get the working girls, you get that one guy in the corner, you get the tax men, and you get people like me, people who are, you know, they're just sound, they're just trying to get by. They do a bit of robbing, a bit of shoplifting, and if someone's rattling, they'll help them out. If somebody's, if someone's struggling, they'll say, well, we can all chip in, sort him a bit out. My problem was, because I didn't inject it, if I was there and I was rattling, everybody had gear except me, they'd be like, well, we'll sort him a bit of, give him 2 mil or 10 mil, whatever it is. I'm like, yeah, but I don't use needles. So they'd have to like take a bit out and put it on foil for me, and it's not good to do that, because it's a lot easier when everybody just puts it all in one big spoon and they all get a little bit out, but yeah, that's what it's like. I've ended up ended up selling gear, getting robbed and battered by the taxman, busted my jaw, both my eyes was shot, and I fucking gave him the stuff as well. I didn't give him it all. I had like a decoy pouch, just in case taxmen come. And what they do, they send someone to the door, someone who's a regular customer. They're like strong arm them, say, go knock on the door, don't fucking tell them I'm here. And then I'd open the door and they'd come fucking charging in, beat the shit out of you. And so I had like a decoy pouch, because I was an easy target, I was probably weighed about 7 stone, skinny as fuck. You could have pushed me, I would have fell over. And everybody, they all knew that. So, they'd come after the easy target, but the people who I sold it for, they weren't easy targets. So they knew if they did it, they could never come back again, or else they'd get their heads smashed in by the people who I did it for. But yeah, they'd come in, and I had like a decoy pouch, so if they did come, then they say, oh, give us all your drugs, you want all your drugs, you want all the money. I'd pull this decoy pouch in that had like 30 quid in it, and I'm like 3 bags or something. So yeah, that's all I've got left. And then they'd fuck off thinking, yeah, we've just taxed him, but in reality they just took a tiny little bit. I did get busted as well. Oh, I was so lucky when I got busted. I had it, I used to stash it in the same place. And I kind of knew that they'd find it if I did get busted, but I was just too lazy to fucking... Because that's how hectic it is when you're selling drugs. The front doors go in, the back doors go in, the phones go in, there's people all over the place, people coming short, there's people complaining. It's a nightmare. And I got busted one morning and I just sold up. So I fucking sold everything. And it was about 9 o'clock in the morning, and I'd just gone up to bed. I just had a boot, I had my gear at the side of the bed, I just laid in bed like, thank fuck that's over. And I was just dozing off, and boom, the door went, and you don't get a chance to do shit. Boom, 2 seconds, they're in there, they're in your bedroom. There was fucking, I was a little bit embarrassed as well, because just before I'd just been for a piss and fucking dribbled all down my boxer shorts. So I'm stood there, there's all these women around. I'm stood there with my hands behind my back in these boxer shorts with a big wet stain on the front. I was like, fuck's sake. But yeah, I've just sold up, so I was so lucky there. And they knocked the door off, and I think they took all the money. I think they took the money. I can't remember exactly what happened. But if it had become like an hour earlier, I'd have had all the gear. And I'd have been, back then, if you got caught selling, supplying heroin and crack like I was, which fucking is definitely not the thing to do. The money you can make is unbelievable, but it's a nightmare, absolute nightmare. And I actually nearly got done in with machetes as well, but they grabbed the wrong guy thinking it was me. I was lucky on that occasion as well. And when they came to kick the door in, this one night I went down, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning, I had a big wooden door at the back, and I usually just go down, open it up, serve them up, and then they're gone. But this one time I had a feeling, I was like, something's not right here. So I listened at the door, and I heard him discussing what they were going to do when I opened the door, saying, oh, fucking get him in headlock, you stab him up, on about robbing me. And I was like, fuck's sake. So I was so lucky I didn't just open the door. So I've had some close calls, yeah. But yeah, that's what it's like living in that world as an addict. I forgot what I was fucking talking about then. It's not fun at all. It's fucking miserable. It's crap. And I'm glad I'm out of that life now. So yeah, if that sounds like a fun time for you, if you feel like doing a bit of heroin, going down that road, I definitely would not do it. But yeah, and when I got busted, I got locked up, and I think I got remanded. I'm not too sure. I can't remember. I've done that many fucking jail sentences. They all, like, I think I kept count for like the first 7 times, and then I was just fucking lost count. I was there all the time. There's always one guy in the prison system who always seems to be there. I was that guy. And then people used to come up and say, fucking hell, you still in here? Fucking hell, you here again? Every time I come in, you're there. And I can say it's because I was a bad thief, but it was just because I was so relentless, you know, shoplifting all the time, every fucking day. And for all the 50 times I got caught, just probably like 1,050 times where I didn't. But anyway, I've waffled on enough. That's the video for today. So if you like this video, press the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, Munch too.